Okay, new test. Yes, okay. Welcome back to another chess video. Today I'm going to analyse a game I played last Thursday, so on the 9th of March. So this should have come, the video that came out yesterday should have come out a week ago. I just didn't have time to record it. Yeah, but now this is up to date. So let's get into the game. We're very simple. I was playing as white. I won, which is quite nice, because that doesn't usually happen. Okay, so we start with the opening. E4, D5, E takes D5, and Queen takes D5. So this is the Scandinavian defense. Well, or one variation of it. There's multiple variations. But this is the most common one you see in like beginner level chess, where you get the queen out. But it's quite dangerous because now the queen's a target, which is after knight to C3. Queen just moves back to D8. It's C3, yeah. Knight to C3, Queen to D8. Other variations can go something like Queen A5 or Queen E5 check. There's loads of possible ideas here. In the description, in the lead chess description, there are some really funny alternatives. Queen C6. Okay, so after Queen D8, Knight F3, just developing the knight, very standard. Knight C6. The computer doesn't actually like Knight C6, it prefers Knight F6, just because, I think because what's attack on the centre maybe? I'm not really sure why it prefers this, but it just likes it better. It likes developing this side instead of queenside. It likes developing kingside. That's an engine, so it does weird things. Knight C6, bishop to C4, just developing a bishop. Bishop to G4, pinning the knight to the queen, and castling. Now there's some ideas here. Like there's actually this fun little I don't know, call it a trap, but it's like a fun little technique. Bishop takes F7, King takes F7, Knight G5 check, King E8, and Queen takes G4. This actually wins a pawn for white, and then after Knight H6 you get Queen E4, and then maybe just a trade of queens after this, because you would want that because you are down you're with winning material. So after castling, you have E5 and H3. What E5 does is it gets to centre. You want to attack the knight because it's pinned. And H3 actually, H3 does kind of work. There's actually a fun little tactic where you can push the pawn and you actually trade off material here. You would probably lose the pawn, so not a good idea. The computer suggests so after H3, the computer instead of attacking the bishop, because the bishop's not actually doing anything, the computer prefers to do D4 and bishop E7, and this line H3 afterwards, because it's slightly more aggressive now. You can see now white has a lot more focus on the centre, and then you have this kind of weird exchange, and then the computer says does this, and this is I've never seen a human play something like this. This is the top computer move apparently. I think it stops this pin, and I think that's what it's trying to do, but I have no idea otherwise. And then you have like G5, and then you're just trying to get this pawn up the board. You don't want to get it too far because otherwise you get taken and the rook's got an open file. But you want it to be, because this blocks out the diagonal for the bishop and the queen. So now it's quite difficult to develop this side. So after H3, bishop takes F3, queen takes F3. Just simply trading material. what's funny is that H3 doesn't actually, it actually loses quite a lot of the advantage for white, because it's now +2 and now it goes to +1. But yeah, it doesn't really matter in the in this one, because beginners don't really seem to see the difference between certain moves, as well as advanced players or computers. So Queen F6 after, and then this Queen trades. This probably wasn't the best idea because of, as you can see, the knight comes to F6 with tempo, well, not with tempo, but you can, what black now develops a knight after the trade. So probably wasn't the best idea. There's Rook E1, Knight H5. This, what does this do? What does this do? Because you can attack it, but then the knight could come out. Yeah, because D4. So what was played in the game was D4, because the knight can't come here. We can't really come here because you just trade off pieces. Because you just take this. So now if the knight were to come here, you take this pawn. Now the knight's under attack by the bishop, so you have to move out of the way, or be defended. But yeah, you don't want to defend this knight because it's just going to weaken your king side structure, pawn structure. If white had played G4, knight F3 would have been possible. Knight F4 would have been possible with D4 afterwards. This isn't the best line to play. Is to do with the in the order of moves, because you can see now black can now take, whereas if black had taken in the other one, the knight would have been hanging. But now it's, so black can't take because the pawn's pinned to the king. But black can take here. So there's a slight difference in what the opportunities what black and white have in this move order. Because you have in this move order, we have long castle now, and now you can take a knight goes back to E6, because now the knight is under attack. Very similar to the other idea. After D4, possibly this is a possible idea, but this just hangs a pawn and loses a knight as well, because you take the pawn with check, and then you can take the knight. So you don't want to take her. Get F6. What I find interesting is E5 and F6 is actually opens the diagonal for the bishop. So you can't castle kingside, and now your king's actually quite weak. So it's a very interesting pawn structure. I don't know. Yeah, but then the bishop E3. Now G4 could have been possible, because you can see this pawn's now blocking the escape route of the knight, and going here and here. If you go here, you get captured. If you go here, you get double pawns. Because after bishop takes, e takes, you get double pawns. You can't actually take back because the pawn's pinned again. So this pawn's actually quite a good target for white. Because if you're here, you actually get taken, and you can't take back because the pawn's pinned. It's good to notice that. That's it. And now if black plays knight takes D4, you get rook E4 attacking, just wanting to develop, and also getting out of this fork that black has. So rook E4 and knight takes C2. You might think that wins a pawn. No, it doesn't. Because remember, this knight's still hanging. So after rook B1, black has no other counter chances. You can't do anything really here. You have to move the knight away probably. You also can play G3, wanting to escape for the knight, but it's too slow, and G takes H5, and then you get double pawn structure on the H5, which is even worse. So this is this is what could have gone on. But so knight H5 D4. So we have this bishop E3, developing the bishop, quite a nice idea, and long castle. So they're very similar. A very similar idea to the previous variation where you want to get the rook on the open file. Because remember now, if you take a look, this pawn is no longer pinned, meaning this pawn could be under, this pawn is now under attack, and this now forks the bishop and the knight. So this now target for black. However, d5. This is one of the reasons why this works in this position, is because now that can't be taken by the rook. So now slightly less of a target, and this pawn can't attack it because it's blocked by the knight. So the knight has to run away. Where does the knight go? Knight to b4. I could also have taken and then f takes e5. But then you can see what the computer suggests. It has all these really weird moves. There's like 6 different ideas here, which I didn't want to calculate. So that's why I just pushed forward, and then I saw this was a fork, so you protect it with rook e2 and knight f4, attacking the rook. c6 would have also been possible, but after rook d2, wanting to escape the attack on the rook here, and possibly trying to get your fingers on the open file. But now you have a rook versus a rook, a standoff. So that's a possible idea, and then you have c takes and bishop takes. Now this bishop's pinned to the rook. However, you can have stuff like takes, which is quite fun. Because if black were to take back, they would lose the rook. So you'd have to then just lose a pawn. So yeah. So after d5, knight b4, rook e2, knight, so we have this. And then we have bishop takes f4. So I mentioned this earlier, this gets the doubled pawns on the f file, which isn't what black wants. However, this pawn is now quite strong, because it can attack these two squares, and then that would weaken the king, because I would have to take back. Otherwise, I would just lose a pawn. Well, I wouldn't lose a pawn, but I would make my king even weaker. a3 is played, attacking the knight. Now the knight can't take care because it's protected, so the knight has to go back. Knight a6 is actually one of the top computer moves. You can't actually go anywhere else because everywhere else is protected. So you have to go back. In theory, you could attack the knight in this situation, but then the knight can just come here. So it's not really worth doing that. Bishop take. Now here's what white played. Bishop takes on a6, and the idea is to double the pawns on the a file, getting even weaker pawn structure, because we've seen now a two sets of double pawns. It makes the pawn structure really weak. However, the computer doesn't like this. It wants you to attack on this, have a focus on this pawn here. So an idea would be knight b5, and then if knight to c5, wanting to just develop the knight, you can just take on a7, check, king b8, knight b5, back to b5, and then black would attack knight with c6, d takes, b takes, and then knight back to c3. Then you can see, look at this really weak king here. Hasn't got really any defenders. So that's what it suggests. If black doesn't, if black just defends with the king, still quite bad for black because of these strong pieces here, compared to the black's passive kind of bishop and knight, bishop and rook, which haven't moved yet from the starting position. But after takes, rook e6. Again, not the best move. Rook e1 would have been better, just doubling the rooks, which is an idea we see later in the game. But this prevents the rook being attacked by. If black were to develop the bishop, then the rook could come out, and then this be a trade of rooks. So after bishop c5, rook e4, wanting to attack the pawn, bishop has to go back to d8, d6. defending the pawn, because you can't defend it here because it weakens the pawn structure. You can actually be attacked, and then yeah, it's not a good idea to defend with a pawn and have the backwards pawn. So that's what the computer says. Although rook e6 isn't a bad move. Because the idea is to be able to get the rook into the enemy territory, and you can see it controls 6 squares and attacks these 2 pawns, though this pawn's defended. So that's the idea. That's not the best move, because you have bishop c5. Now if you take this pawn's not defended, so you can't take it. Though you could, in theory, play rook takes a6, then you have bishop d4, and now you're going to get a double pawn structure. After rook d1, bishop takes and b takes. The reason why I don't move the knight is because then you lose a pawn, and you still have to move the rook, so you kind of lose tempo here. And then you get another. You just lose 2 pawns if you move the knight. So that's why you have to attack the bishop, and then you get a double pawn structure. King b7 attacks the rook, rook a5, and then rook e8. Now this looks better for black because of these really aggressive rooks. But yeah, it's actually winning for white +2. Because you have c4 defending the pawn. Rook e2 wanting to attack this pawn. And it's quite funny because the computer recommends c5, just losing a pawn. What does this do? The thing is, this pawn isn't actually doing anything because it's behind another pawn, so you can just let it go, because then you have rook b1 check, king a8, and c6, and then you have rook b8, and now you have to open file again with rook e1. And you see, this is better for white because of these 2 these 2 pawns which are further down the board, and they're very easy to promote. So that's what an idea that the computer has. But I just doubled the rooks, as I mentioned earlier. Rook a1, and a5 is played. Now a5 isn't the best move here, because these pawns are double. So you can't really defend this pawn without using your pieces, which then weakens the pawn quite a bit, because you have no pawn on the b file. Knight a4. Now again, this actually allows black to equalise quite easily, because now this pawn's hanging. So if black had seen that, black could have taken a pawn and then traded off pieces, and then it would have been more equal, though the pawn structure for black's worse. The computer suggested rook 1 to e4, so the rook on the first rank to the 4th rank, attacks the pawn, and you can defend it quite easily. You can quite easily defend it. You can also attack the white rook, kind of having a counter attack, and then the computer just suggests either taking on d6, bishop takes, and then this pawn defended. But then after knight to b5, king d7, you could in theory take this and you win the pawn, or you can just win a pawn with rook a4, and this pawn can't defend this pawn. And you could possibly win both pawns if you had enough time. That was not what was played in the game. Now, interestingly here, the idea to go to this square does not work anymore because you get blocked by the bishop. Although knight here does allow an escape route, but then you have after rook to a6, bishop b6, knight a4, king b7. The rook's under attack. You actually lose the rook, which is quite funny. You can't defend anything because the rook can't be defended because you have no bishop or knight defending it, and it's stuck. So you can't move the rook here. Knight a4, like we said, is a bad move. Bishop d4. And now, well, the idea is just get the way out of the way of the knight, probably attack these pawns. It suggests rook. What's suggested is rook takes on d5, because remember I said the pawn's hanging. Rook takes on d5, grabs the pawn, and another variation. If you didn't want to trade off the pieces, you could also play c4, but then you have rook f5, and it's still protecting and it's also defending. Now this rook's quite defensive. Rook 1 to e4 again, and bishop to d6, defending this pawn. Now this pawn you can't take. Even with something like g3, which does weaken the king's pawn structure, yeah, you just allow black to equalise, because now it's the same aggressiveness, the same hostility towards each player. So that's why this knight move doesn't work. So c3, c4 is also possible in this situation. The computer likes both of them. The idea of c3 is just to keep the bishop up. However, c4 is also played afterwards, which is a kind of weird move, because if you played c4 first, you get +3. However, depending on where the bishop is, now it's only +1. So you have to be careful of what you do here, because now the bishop's slightly better placed because it's now protecting the pawn. Rook h1, one trade of rooks, which is what happens. The computer suggests rook d6, and you can either trade off the rooks and just have a bishop that's quite strong, or you can have this kind of rook dance, because you don't want to trade off the rooks in this situation, because that would be better for black, because your rook's aggressive. Your rook's controlling six squares, whereas black's having to defend, which is not what black wants to do. Black wants to attack your king. However, this king's safe, this king is less safe. So you don't want to trade off rooks. If you keep playing like this, it'll be a stalemate, so you do have to trade in the end. But it depends on where you want to trade as to what you do. Yeah, so rook h8, rook takes e8, and rook takes e8. b4, yeah, it's a possible move. Now we're really close to the endgame. So quite a lot of these moves are actually getting closer to the best move, I'd say. You get a takes b4, a takes b4, and now there's loads of ideas here with black. So what the computer likes is getting the rook out, putting the rook behind the pawns, and then pushing the pawns on the H and G files, and possibly also pushing the F pawn, because then you'd weaken the pawn structure, which is also then shown later in the game. But yeah, but after takes, what's played is a6, and a6 isn't a particularly bad move. The computer says it is. The computer says it loses material from +2 to +3, but yeah, because after knight d5 you're attacking the pawn. Very simple. Then you actually lose this pawn here, because you can't defend it with the king, because knight's taking that square away. So now you lose the pawn. So that's probably what black saw and played h5, wanting to now push on the king side, because the kings are now opposite side castled, and opposite side castle means you tend to push the pawns that are not by your king. So in this case, black would push the king's pawns and white would push the queen's pawns, which is actually what's happening. It's quite a common idea for opposite side castling. So you also have knight takes a6 and king b7. You want to threaten the knight, so the knight's to move away. Knight to c5 check. And now what's interesting here is king b6. Now king b6 isn't the best move, because what you're allowing white to do is fork you. You can't really go back, because then you just lose tempo with the king. Although then the bishop is safe, but then you'd have this kind of nice. You have these pawns to deal with, which you don't want. However, in this situation, there's actually some really cool lines here. Rook e2, and you're now thinking, what does rook e2 do? Well, first off, you want the open line. However, you can't get it because the bishop's attacking. So that's it. The idea here is to actually get the open line on a2, because the bishop can't take you. However, rook a8. And what's funny here is if black had played a silly move like g5, there's now +8 for white. Rook a2 and c6. Now this is one of the only moves that works for black in this situation, because c6 and rook a6 check. Now the black king can move out the way. King c7, rook takes on c6 check, king d8 and b5, and you have this really strong, like fortress. I don't know what to call it, but it's very strong. You have to deal with it. You can't really. It's very because once you trade off pieces, now white's going to win because of these pass pawns. However, there's also fun variation here. If black does not play c6 and plays f3, wanting to destroy the pawn structure, you have rook a6 checkmate, which is very interesting. But that's what could have happened. But black notices that and plays rook a8. Now black has the open line, and black threatens to check and get the king to a less safe position. So knight d7 check. You're forking the king and the bishop, and also a pawn. But you don't want to take that pawn. You have king back to b7. Knight takes e5. F takes e5. Otherwise you lose material. And rook takes e5. Now what's interesting here is the computer says, I don't care if I lose material, I'm going to pin your knight to your rook. And then white just plays g3. And now f takes g3 is possible, but then you have f4. And now there's knight's protected, you can take up the pawn, because after f takes and f takes e5, now this pawn's pinned to the rook. But this still looks a lot better for white, because this is pass pawn and these pawns versus one pawn. So you have the very strong pawn kind of centered pawn structure, while also you're actually on material. You're up by one pawn, but this pawn is quite strong, so you do have to be careful. But after so in this case, black went directly for f takes or e5, and that's +5 for white. After rook takes e5 and h4, you either have to play h4 or g6, or you can play rook h8, but that's not a good move, because it does defend the pawn, but it's just passive, really passive. And g6 is also fairly passive, because you one jump instead of two. You just basically lose some tempo, because also g6, rook d5, you lose, and then possibly something like rook g8, defending the pawn, and then you can probably just attack with all your pawn with the pawn majority. So h4 is played. Rook a4 is also possible, and in this situation, what you would do is you do probably either c5 and allow rook takes b4. Now your c pawn's less likely to be taken, and then you have this kind of pawn hunt where you have to hunt the pawns. And then you have this interesting check here as well, which is quite nice, because then it doesn't allow black to take either of these pawns. After h4, rook e4, rook h5 would have been better in this case, because and now black can't play g5, because you just take it, of course, and now you have no way of defending the pawn. However, rook e4 was played, and now g5 is possible, because it can't be taken. Another idea for black, instead of just defending the pawn, you have rook a1 check, king h2, and then you can play g5, and now this rook's more active. Now it's controlling, what's this, 7 plus 3, 10 squares in the white kingdom. Also, it's having possible threats with pawn pushes, so yeah, it's a little bit stronger to do this. It's still winning for white with +5, so it doesn't really matter what you do, it's lost for black. unless white blunders. White plays c5, rook d8 attacks the pawn, and rook e5 protecting the pawn and attacking on g5. Rook g8 defends the g5 pawn, but this is now the rook's starting to become really passive. +7 for white. Could have also pushed and just lost the pawn. But now b5 for white. And now this king can't go up this way because all of these squares are blocked. So now the king will have to retreat back, or push, or allow a possible capture on c6, and then pass pawns. They just advance, so you can't defend them. g4 is played, h takes g4, rook takes g4, +8 for white, so now it's getting better and better. Now d6 is played, +10. C takes, and now the computer says this is completely winning, you can't defend this. C takes. This is a complete blunder. So this is +56, this is +3. So you see there's a difference in 53. And actually you could potentially win if white plays another blunder. Or it would have been better to just check, and then king b8, and then you take, and then c6, or taking. But if you take a look at the difference between this pawn structure and this pawn structure, you can see these pawns are isolated. These pawns are isolated, although they are passed pawns, they're both isolated, so they're easier to attack. So that's why you don't want to take in this situation, because you get isolated pawns on the B and the D file. You see, rook d6 attacks the pawn. Rook e7 check. So remember, I was talking about the move order. Again, this is the same idea. Instead of doing the check first, I play the check afterwards, and now it's less effective. King c8. And now what's interesting here is black is really passive with the king. However, black has to be passive with the king, because if king b6 wanting to attack this pawn, now you can't defend this pawn advancing, because you have d7, king c7, king h2, wanting to get the king more active, f3, g takes f3, doubling the pawns for white, so now it's slightly worse, but still +7. Rook f6 attacking the pawns, rook h7 attacking the pawn, king d8 wanting to stop the pass pawn, but then this pawn is going to go up the board, because you can take care and take care, but it doesn't. It's still winning for white, but you just have to know how to play, because king can also come up here. But now this rook's slightly better placed than it was on the 8th rank. And now, okay, so that's possibly what could have happened if black had been aggressive with the king. However, king c8 and rook g7 check, which is for some reason the best computer move, because you have king d8 and a rook f7 attacking this pawn here. Now black plays h3. Rook rook g4 isn't possible to try and defend the pawn, because you have f3. The rook has to move out the way and you take the pawn. In theory, it could have worked, but yeah, in practice, if you have something like this, rook possibly goes to here, rook takes, rook to b6, and then you have to defend the pawn. This would be winning for white, because you have 2 pawns extra. No, so you would have 2 pawns extra, but it's still a little bit. No, maybe you'd have 3 pawns extra, so you'd have 3 pawns. They're still a little bit vague, because you just have to play accurate. So instead of going back or doing anything, black plays h3 after rook f7, h3, wanting to again open the king structure and possibly get a pass pawn. Now black can't take with the white can't take with the pawn because it's pinned, which is quite interesting. Observation. Now this pawn is now under attack. b6, and now what's interesting is this is one of the only winning moves in this game, in this setup, in this situation, because you actually just ignore this pawn, and you're thinking, what the hell? What does that do? This pawn can now promote, can't it? No, it can't. Because even if rook takes d8, you're wanting to win this pawn, and you can't win this pawn. So some other variations in this position could have been rook takes g2, king f1, or king h1. King f1 still leads like mate in 7. King h1 also leads to mate in 7, because after rook takes f2, rook f8 check. And then king d7, b7. You can't stop this pawn from promoting. So that's why probably black chose to take on d6, and I have b7, rook b6. What's interesting is h2 check. It's a very, very interesting move, because basically you want to drag the king out of its corner, and then you can check him with the rook. Doesn't work, but it's a good idea. But yeah, rook b6 is played, g takes h3. Now this pawn is hanging. Now white is up 2 pawns of material. And now there's some fun variations there. Like you can even promote, and you're thinking, what does this do? You lose the queen back? No. And if we allow the computer to analyse the situation, you can see this is the very most obvious move. But it's actually mate in 47, 23 possibly, depending on what black does. You can't. This is still losing endgame. Because then you have to move the king out of the way, rook takes rook, and then the king in this corner is so far away from the pawns you can't defend them. And yeah, off it goes. Mate in 25. You think, what does king f1 do? Yeah, allows something. But yeah, it's mate in 25, so white's won, even with a funny sacrifice of the pawn. Yeah, but that doesn't happen. We have g takes h3 and king e8 attacking the rook. Well, it could have been better to play something like rook g6 check, but then you have king h2, and then this pawn seems to be very weak. Yeah, so that, I don't know, possible ideas there. You must probably play rook b1, again attacking the king, forcing either of these two moves, and also keeping an eye on the pawn. Also possibly works. But in this position is mate in 19 for white. So this is the main line we have: king a8, king e8, rook h7, f3. Now, again, rook b1 does work, king h2, and rook b2, pinning the pawn to the king. Doesn't work, king g2, f3 check, king g3. If you check, there would be this check, but it doesn't doesn't hurt white's chances, because king can just go back and be safe, go back into hiding. And this is just so active, you can't defend it. So after this, we have how far are we? G takes h3, king e8, and rook h7, just moving rook out of danger. f3 and h4, and now at minute 14, you can choose to pause the video and find it, or I can just let you see it. King f8, h5, king g8, rook c7, king h8, rook c8 check, and this is the winning move because you can't now take the pawn because the black king's in check. So king h7 and promotes b8 is equal to queen. And yeah, this is probably the only thing that works. There are some other moves where you can just push the king up, which we'll see at the end. But yeah, just trading off pieces probably the best idea. And this is actually where the resignation happens on king h7. So on this move here, black resigns, so white wins. I win, of course. Yeah, but the continuation could be this. And after king g7, you get rook g6, cutting the king off from attacking the pawns or anything. And you play king g8, rook b7, again cutting the king off. And this is kind of the very simple rook checkmate. After king f8, h6, king g8, and now the black king can't move from these squares, because if they did, let's say this move, you'd just push the pawn. You now can't move from these two squares. You have to basically move back and forth, because once you go to f8, you have h7, and you can't go back because it's protected by the pawn. So you have to move to e8, and queen will be checkmate, or even rook would be checkmate if you want to promote to a rook and be a little bit nasty. But king h1, and now black just juggles the king. King h8, king h2, king g8, king h3, king h8, king h4, king g8, king g5, king h8, king g6, and now you can just see it making one, king g8, and the rook b8 checkmate. Very simple background checkmate. So this game is very interesting. If you want some more information on the opening, you can just look at some opening files. I could make a video on certain openings that I play regularly, such as Sicilian or Italian. I know quite a lot of lines or semi-lines or traps as well. But yeah, this is very, very standard opening for the Scandinavian. Very, very fun idea. I think the main takeaway from this is they're basically the wrong type of trades, I would say. Because these trades here, don't just trade for the sake of it. You can move your bishop to a better place. But yeah, trading for the sake of it is, and then yeah, again with this trade here, you shouldn't trade for the sake of it. You allow development. And you can see again this trade here. This trade is good because it does double the pawn structure. So certain trades are better than others. You have, the idea is to work out which pieces are better than the others and trade worse pieces off for the good pieces of the opponent, and then you will have a better situation. Yeah, and then this trade, possibly not the best idea. It doesn't work in this situation. Yeah, but again, it's just trading off for trading. Yeah, and then again here, this trade doesn't have to happen. And then this trade as well. I mean, yeah, there's just trades that don't have to happen. They just happen because they do. Do you understand? It's like very, very beginner level chess. but also played by me, so that's kind of criticising myself. Yeah. This trade isn't too bad. It does undouble the pawn structure. Yeah. But then once you see this, you see white's won. Yeah, white's now won. Yeah, so very interesting game though. I could go into more detail, but I'd rather probably state this amount of detail. Just looking at certain possibilities. And now this video has actually been a lot longer than I expected. However, it's fine, because once you understand the core ideas of chess, you can start applying them, which is quite nice. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Although it has been quite a long video, I'll probably send one out next week. Or I can also look into past games I won back from 2021 September. So that would be quite fun to look at, how many blunders I make compared to what I do now. And it's makes you see the difference in level. Yeah, but this is a good game, well played. Thanks for watching.